Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus for a long time, surprised everyone. Known for his strong ties with Russia, his latest declaration was unexpected. In a bold speech, he proclaimed Belarus's sovereignty, distancing the nation from Russia's influence. He spoke out against Russia trying to take over parts of Ukraine. This was a significant departure from his usual stance, as he had previously supported Russia's actions in the region. The conflict in Ukraine had been escalating, and Lukashenko's statement added a new dimension to the geopolitical landscape. This was a big deal because Belarus and Russia have been close for years. Their relationship dates back to the Soviet era, and they have maintained strong economic and military ties. Belarus has often been seen as a loyal ally of Russia, making Lukashenko's declaration all the more surprising. Lukashenko always seemed to agree with Putin, Russia's leader. Their meetings were frequent, and their public statements often aligned. This sudden shift raised questions about the future of Belarus-Russia relations and the stability of the region. So why the sudden change? Was Lukashenko reacting to internal pressures, or was there a strategic reason behind his declaration? Political analysts and leaders around the world were left speculating. Was Lukashenko being sincere, or was this a clever move in a bigger game? Some believed he was trying to gain leverage in negotiations with Russia, while others thought he was attempting to appease Western nations. The true motive behind his actions remained unclear. To figure this out, we need to look at the history between Belarus and Russia. Their alliance has been built over decades, with numerous agreements and treaties binding them together. Understanding this history is crucial to grasping the significance of Lukashenko's declaration. We also need to understand what's happening inside Belarus and what Russia wants in the area. Belarus has been facing internal unrest, with protests and opposition movements gaining momentum. At the same time, Russia's ambitions in the region have been growing, adding to the complexity of the situation. This wasn't just a simple statement, it was a move in a complicated game of power and politics. Lukashenko's declaration could have far-reaching implications, affecting not only Belarus and Russia, but also the broader geopolitical landscape. Let's try to understand what Lukashenko is really up to. By examining his past actions, current pressures, and potential future moves, we can begin to piece together the puzzle of his declaration. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely. Belarus and Russia have a long and tangled past. Their histories are intertwined in ways that have shaped the political and cultural landscapes of both nations. From the early days of the Kievan Rus, a federation of Slavic tribes in the 9th century, to the formation of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, which included parts of modern-day Belarus, their paths have crossed repeatedly. Over centuries, these interactions have created a deep and complex relationship that continues to influence their present-day dynamics. They share a lot of history and culture, like their Slavic roots. This shared heritage is evident in their languages, traditions, and even their cuisines. Festivals celebrating Slavic culture are common in both countries, showcasing traditional music, dance, and clothing. These cultural ties have fostered a sense of kinship between the people of Belarus and Russia, despite the political tensions that sometimes arise. Think of Belarus like a bridge connecting Russia to Europe. Geographically, Belarus is strategically located between Russia and the European Union, making it a crucial transit route for goods, energy supplies, and even political influence. This position has made Belarus a key player in regional geopolitics, often serving as a buffer zone between East and West. Its role as a bridge is not just physical but also symbolic, representing the intersection of Russian and European interests. This location has made Belarus important, but it's also meant that bigger, more powerful countries are always interested in it. Throughout history, Belarus has been a battleground for various empires and nations seeking to control this strategic territory. From the Napoleonic Wars to the World Wars, Belarus has seen its fair share of conflict. In modern times, its capital, Minsk, often hosts international negotiations and summits, underscoring its continued geopolitical significance. When the Soviet Union was formed, Belarus and Russia became even more connected. As part of the Soviet Union, Belarus was integrated into a centralized system that linked its economy, military, and political structures closely with those of Russia. This period saw significant industrialization and development in Belarus, but it also meant that Belarusian identity was often overshadowed by Soviet, and by extension, Russian influence. Even after the Soviet Union broke apart in 1991, and Belarus became its own country, they stayed close. The dissolution of the Soviet Union was a turning point, allowing Belarus to assert its independence. However, the economic and political ties with Russia remained strong. Belarus relied heavily on Russian support to stabilize its economy and maintain its infrastructure. Diplomatic relations between the two countries continued to be robust, with numerous agreements and treaties reinforcing their connection. Alexander Lukashenko, who became the leader of Belarus in 1994, liked having Russia as a friend. Lukashenko's rise to power marked a new era in Belarusian politics. He positioned himself as a staunch ally of Russia, often aligning his policies with those of the Kremlin. This alliance provided Lukashenko with political and economic support, helping him consolidate his power domestically. His relationship with Russian leaders has been a cornerstone of his long tenure in office. Russia helped Belarus with its economy, giving them cheap fuel and letting them sell things to Russian people. This economic assistance was crucial for Belarus, which lacked significant natural resources of its own. Russia supplied Belarus with discounted oil and gas, which not only powered its industries but also provided a source of revenue through re-exports. In return, Belarusian products found a ready market in Russia, fostering a mutually beneficial economic relationship. But this friendship came with a price. The economic dependency on Russia meant that Belarus had limited autonomy in its foreign and domestic policies. Any attempt to diverge from Russian interests often resulted in economic or political pressure. This dependency has been a source of tension within Belarus, leading to protests and calls for greater independence from Russian influence. Belarus depended on Russia so much that it couldn't make its own decisions in the world. This lack of autonomy has been a significant issue for Belarusian leaders, who have had to navigate a delicate balance between maintaining Russian support and addressing the aspirations of their own people. The economic graphs clearly show the extent of this dependency, highlighting the challenges Belarus faces in pursuing an independent foreign policy. And Lukashenko, who wasn't exactly known for being nice to his own people, always had Russia on his side. Lukashenko's authoritarian rule has been marked by widespread suppression of dissent and political opposition. Despite international criticism, he has managed to retain power largely due to the backing of Russia. This support has allowed him to weather numerous political storms, but it has also deepened Belarus's reliance on its powerful neighbor, perpetuating a cycle of dependency and control.